having done a lot of magazines, I'm very curious how big magazines handle big stories, and I was very curious to see how Time and Newsweek would handle the 9/11, and it was basically pretty disappointed to see that they had chosen to show the photo we'd already seen a million times, which was basically the moment of impact. And People magazine, I thought, got probably the best shot. It's kind of horsey type, but the texture, the second plane not quite hitting, there was something more enticing, if that's the right, it's not the right word, but in this cover than Time or Newsweek. But when I got into this magazine, there was something kind of disturbing. And this continued. So on the left, we see people dying, we see people running for their lives, and on the right, we learn there's a new way to support your breast. The coveted right-hand page was not given up to the whole issue. Look at the image of this lady who knows what she's going through, and the copy says, he knows just how to give me goosebumps. Yeah, he jumps out of buildings. It's unfortunately, this one works kind of as a spread. And this continued through the entire magazine. It did not let up. This says, one clean fits all. There were a lot of orphans made this day. And here's a dead body being brought out. It just seems to me possibly even a blank page would have been more appropriate. And this one I think is possibly the worst. Two ladies, both facing the same way, both wearing jeans. One who knows what she's going through, the other one is worried about model behavior and milk. And I gave a talk in New York a couple months after this, and afterwards somebody came up to me and they said that they actually emailed me and they said that they appreciated the talk, and when they got back to their car, they found a note on their car that made them think maybe New York was getting back to being New York again after this event. It had been a few months. This is what they found on their car. There's very few times you'd be happy to find this on your car, but it did seem to indicate that we were coming back. This is my desktop. Somebody told me today there's this thing called folders, but I don't know what that These are my notes for the talk. There might be a correlation here. We are wrapping up. This I saw on the plane flying in for hot new products. I'm not sure this is an improvement or a good idea. It's like if you don't spend quite enough time in front of your computer, you can now get a plate in the keyboard. So there's no more faking it that you don't really sit at your desk all day and eat and work anyway. Now there's a plate, and it'd be really, really convenient to get a piece of pizza, then type a little bit, and I'm just not sure this is improvement. If you ever doubt the power of graphic design, this is a very generic sign that literally says, vote for Hitler. It says nothing else. And this, to me, is an extreme case of the power of the motion of graphic design, even though, in fact, was a very generic poster at the time. What's next? What's next is going to be people. As we get more technically driven, the importance of people becomes more than it's ever been before. You have to utilize who you are in your work. Nobody else can do that. Nobody else can pull from your background, from your parents, your upbringing, your whole life experience. If you allow that to happen, it's really the only way you can do some unique work, and you're going to enjoy the work a lot more as well. This is, I like found art. Hand lettering's coming back in a big way. I thought this was a great example of both. This lady's advertising for her lost pit bull. It's friendly. She's underlined friendly. That's probably why she calls it Hercules or Hercules, and she can't spell. But more importantly, she's willing to give you $20 to go find this lost pit bull. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, I'll go look for a lost pit bull for $20. And I have visions of people going down alleyways yelling out for Hercules, and you get charged by this thing, and you go, oh, please be Hercules, please be the friendly one. You know? I'm sure she never found the dog because I took the sign, but I was asked to give a talk at a conference in Sacramento a few years back, and the theme was courage. And they asked me to talk about how courageous it is to be a graphic designer. And I remember seeing this photograph of my father, who was a test pilot, and he told me that when you signed up to become a test pilot, they told you there was a 40 to 50% chance of death on the job. That's pretty high for most occupations. You know, the government would make a plane, and they'd say, go see if that one flies, would you? And, Some of them did, some of them didn't. And I started thinking about some of these decisions I have to make between, like, say, serif versus sans serif. And for the most part, they're not real life-threatening. Why not experiment? Why not have some fun? Why not put some of yourself into the work? And when I was teaching, I used to always ask the students, what's the definition of a good job? And as teachers, after you get all the answers, you like to give them the correct answer. And the best one I've heard is, I'm sure some of you have heard this, the definition of a good job is, if you could afford to, if money wasn't an issue, would you be doing that same work? And if you would, you've got a great job. And if you wouldn't, what the heck are you doing? You're going to be dead a really long time. Thank you very much.
At Rolex, the pursuit of excellence is a passion. At the heart of every timepiece we make is the Rolex movement. 100% conceived by Rolex's research and development teams. Every Rolex movement undergoes an exacting production process. One that can take well over a year to complete. It begins with hundreds of finely manufactured components. And after careful assembly and minute adjustments, all that remains is the careful positioning of the oscillator. This is the heartbeat of every Rolex, the moment a Rolex truly comes to life. A Rolex isn't just a watch. It's technology emboldened by the human spirit. The Rolex movement. An entirely Swiss-made jewel. The pearl in every oyster that is a Rolex.